What you guys are seeing right now on this screen is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a game with no frame generation in it by default, unfortunately, effectively getting frame generation modded into it in record time. God bless the community with this one. I'm gaming on a 3090 RTX GPU with frames skyrocketing that I've never seen before. And even though DLSS4 is launching next week, you could actually install it right now if you wanted to. But personally, I found better performance on DLSS3 for my rig, so I'm running that in this video. And not only that, we also have AMD FSR and XeSS, and I'm gonna showcase to you guys how to install this. So people with non-RTX cards that are disappointed that there's no upscaling supported for your rig, don't worry, we got you guys covered. There's absolutely no better way to start off our modding season of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth than with this one. Also in this video, we have a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hook launcher, which will allow us to adjust UE4 commands and finally mod the game, disabling things like the FPS limit, motion blur, and more. We also have a mod to fix that pesky stuttering that some players are getting, which is due to the shaders and how they get compiled. And we finally have an ultra-wide monitor mod, but I personally don't have an ultra-wide display, so I can't really install it to show you guys how it works, but I'll show you where it's linked, where to install it, and also provide you with all the necessary information. Lock in, because you're not going to want to miss out on any of this. Hit that subscribe button and help raise that 38% even higher. And also, if you haven't yet, secure Final Fantasy VII Rebirth today for $41 using our instant gaming link down below. And also, if you want, there's a twin pack available for $58 for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake. That's 2 games with over 200 hours easy of playtime at a very good price. Now let's start off showcasing you guys how to install this mod. This GitHub link right here is how you're going to download and install the mods for ultra-wide support. What you're going to want to do is download this file marked Rebirth Fix zip from the assets section down below, and then you're going to extract its contents into the game folder, which your Steam apps, common, FF7 Rebirth is located in Steam. You're going to download this. And when that is done, you're going to open it up and you're going to get this folder right here. And now go into Steam and you're going to right click on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, go to Manage, Browse Local Files, and it'll bring up this folder here. Now, all you got to do is drag this folder into here. I'm also going to be linking this down below if you want more supports and tips on how exactly this can work and how to configure it further. You can totally use this right here, and this is an example of it working on somebody's rig. Now, the most important mod is the hook launcher. This is what's going to allow us to configure our game even further than what Rebirth launched with as far as settings goes. The same thing we had to do for Remake, we can do it now with this. I'm going to be linking it down below, but it's the Final Fantasy VII Hook INI and Dev Console Unlocker. FreeCam is also embedded in this, by the way. All you got to do is hit manual download, do the slow download, and when that is done, we're going to open it up here on the left side of the screen. Now, there are 2 different locations that we're going to be needing to access. The first one is that same Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, browse local files, right? And we're going to bring that up over here. We're going to take this folder, the entire end folder, and we're going to drag it into here. It's going to ask if you want to replace it. Go ahead and do that. And now we got to put this Engine.ini in the correct spot. What you're going to want to do is go to Documents, My Games, find Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Then you're going to go to Saved, Config, Windows No Editor, and inside of this, you're not going to have all of this stuff. Inside of here, you're going to drag this Engine.ini into here. It's going to ask if you want to replace it, or it'll be the first instance of it existing. Click yes. Now we're going to open up the INI, and you'll see that mine is going to look different than yours. I don't have too much stuff going on. I'm going to slowly add to it over time. I don't want to go too ham with it, but I have the fog actually disabled right now. I have VSync set to 0 because I'm using VRR. I just want to make sure it's completely off. I have the frame rate set to unlimited. When you have it set at 0, it's set to unlimited. And for motion blur, in general, I turned motion blur all the way off. I'll be linking down below these commands for you to drop them into your Engine.ini, and I'll also link below the Engine.ini for you to download for yourself and try it out. Now that we have those out of the way, let's install the frame generation. I gotta give a major shout out to Strife LOL. We were streaming last night and I talked about it on stream to my chat. I tried to install this new DLSS upscaler with OptiScaler, but it wasn't working for me. And Strife LOL knew exactly which tutorial I found because it didn't work for him either, and he found another workaround. So all of this information will be from him. I'll be linking his video down below, but he actually called me while we were live last night and helped me set it up, and we got it running really, really good. So I'm gonna be linking this down below. This is a GitHub page for OptiScaler. You're gonna want to download this program. What we're gonna do is scroll to this column right here, and we're gonna download this version from November 19th, 2024. Now, depending on if you're using WinRAR, 7-zip, whichever, open up the program, and this is what it should look like. It should have all the files right there for you. And now I'm gonna show you where we got to move these. We got to go back to our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth game folder. We're going to go to the end, then hit binaries, Win64, And inside of here, we're going to take all of this, everything including this folder, and drag it all into here. Now, this file right here, the nvngx.dll file, we're going to right click it and we're going to rename it to dxgi. I already did this, so I don't need to do that, but you guys are going to want to press enter and it's going to go. If I press enter, it's going to say I already have this file. What are you doing? So I'm not going to do that. After you finish renaming that, now we're going to go and get our DLSS file that's already within Rebirth. So we're going to go to Engine, Plugins, DLSS Subset, Binaries, Third Party, Win64, and this right here is DLSS 3. You see it says it right there as you highlight it. I preferred DLSS 3. It ran better for my rig, but I will still show you guys how to get DLSS 4 in a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, and now we're going to go to the base of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth folder again, go to End, Binaries, Win64, and in here we're going to paste the DLSS file that we just copied, but we got to rename it. We're going to rename it, and we're going to erase the underscore DLSS right here. And I'm not going to do that because I already have that file already here. But once you do, you should be fine and good to go. It's just going to tell me here that you already have this. What are you doing? And now we're going to click on this DLSS override folder, go inside of there and double click enable signature override. Let that run through, do its thing. It might have two checkboxes to say yes and okay. And after you do that, you're good to go, baby. You can now boot up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and enjoy frame generation. But there's still some configurations within the game that we got to do. I'm going to showcase to you guys exactly how we go about doing that. And now that we're back in our game, we're gonna actually press insert on our keyboard and you'll see a window pop up here. It's going to be incredibly small depending on your resolution. We're going to click on this actually to make it a little easier. It's a little 0.5 tab. This is how big you want to make the window. I'm just going to make it really large just to make this a little bit easier and for you guys to be able to read it. So first things first, we are officially running DLSS 3.710. And if you click this drop down, you have options to use XeSS and FSR. So shout outs AMD people, you're able to actually click this, then apply, and finally get FSR in your game. You even activate frame generation from it too. But because my system will benefit more from the DLSS aspect of things, I'm gonna showcase it running with that. So we're gonna turn on frame generation, and you'll notice my frames have jumped from, what was I getting, 60 before? Now I'm getting 100 frames. And just moving around here, it's beautiful, guys. It looks like it's unreal. I didn't think that I would be able to run this at this rate. And it's a 3090 that I'm running this rig on with a i7-12 700K processor. But you'll notice that while the frames are really high, the menu, the HUD is really like spazzing out. This is a frame generation issue. So there's actually a fix for this that we're going to be doing. I'm going to tick this little box here that says FG HUD fix, and by default it's not going to change anything. We're going to have to raise the limit. So let's raise this up 1, 2. Actually, I got to make my menu smaller. You can't really see the number in there. So there we go. I raised the limit to 3. You notice that if you have it at 2, you still have the menu tripping out and acting weird. It's just it's slightly less, but if you put it to 3, it completely fixes this, but you do reduce some of the new frames that you got. This is a little bit of a compromise. If you don't care about the menu bugging out or anything like that, go ahead and untick FG HUD and play to your heart's content, but disable subtitles because it's going to get kind of trippy playing the game this way. Now there's also an async option, which for some rigs this actually will give you bonus frames. You'll actually get an extra 3, maybe 4 frames out of this. So I highly recommend you test it out on your own rig and see how it works out for you. You'll notice that actually the frame counter in here and the delay latency will increase whenever you make a change. To fix that, what you got to do is actually lower the limit back to 1 and then raise it back up to 3, and you'll see it fix itself with the latency and it fixes itself with the frames. So anytime you make a change, if you disable or enable allow async, you'll see it drops. Just lower it down to 1 and then raise it back up to 3. And now you have frame generation in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a feature that did not come with the game, unfortunately. There's another thing that I also like to do in here. I like to increase and tweak the sharpness a little bit. By default, it's off. If you click override, you'll actually be able to adjust the slider, and I would recommend putting it all the way and just seeing exactly how this affects the characters and the quality of the world around you. You can kind of see it with the castle in the background of Calm right there. If I disable it, that's what that looks like. If I enable it, that's what that looks like. Completely drastic, obviously, but like you don't want to have it at this high. It's just not that great. I kind of like what it looks like from 0.9 to 0.75. You can adjust this to however much you want. You don't have to use that much. You can totally use 0.1 if you want, or 0.3. See whatever looks best for you, but 0.75 to me is a pretty solid balance. The higher you go on this, you're going to introduce noise into your game. So like characters' hair, the sky. There's going to be things that when the screen is moving, you'll get a little bit of like noise showcasing on there. But overall, this makes the game pop even more. And it looks fantastic. And you're going to want to click Save INI. If you don't do this, every time that you boot up the game, you're going to have to retweak these settings. So if you save INI, every single time that you boot up the game, it will be good to go. And you don't have to worry about loading up anything. I just realized I was covering Cloud's face that entire time. My game is good. It's running at 144. We unlocked the frames, so it's actually faster than the 120 that the game unfortunately limits you to. And you can even go further, guys, and tweak settings within the game's resolution and stuff. I'm running it at 66 because if you have it at 100 and then on max and then 66, it'll crank its way up to 100 whenever possible for the image. But I recommend you guys play around with this, see what you like, you know, what looks best for you. And after you're done tweaking, you just press insert again to hide the menu, and now you can just play your game however you want, guys. Enjoy your new fake frames. If you're not a fan of the frame generation, you could always disable it and just run the extra sharpness that you get from the DLSS command. I think that looks great as well. Now, we talked about DLSS4 earlier, and if you guys want to try that out for yourself, I highly recommend before you install it, please go back, make sure you go into your Final Fantasy VII Rebirth base folder, go to Engine, Plugins, DLSS, Binaries, Third Party, Win64, and make a backup. Make a copy of your DLSS 3, save it somewhere on your desktop in another folder. But basically, we're going to download this top one that just says NVNGX DLSS. You're going to click on it. Depending on your browser, you might have to go in here and click download unverified file. So now we're going to take the DLSS file that we just downloaded, and we're going to drag it and replace it over the one that's in the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth folder. And now if you press insert and you go into your game, you'll see you'll have DLSS 54 1.0. That'll be launching next week, and in general, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't run as smooth for me. I don't see any point in me running it. I'd rather just jump back to DLSS 3. But I just wanted to showcase to you guys that it is very well possible instead of just waiting until next week. If you found this helpful and you're finally able to access FSR or XeSS, let me know how it works out for you guys if you're enjoying it. I think this is a solid list of mods to get us started before things start to get a little bit more crazier in the coming days or weeks, who knows. If you have any more questions, please comment them down below. I'm happy to help you guys out even further if any issues do come up, and I'll keep you guys updated on what other dope mods are on the way to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to further enhance this already amazing game in the best possible ways. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy videos are on the way and you don't want to miss them. My name is Blitz, and thanks for watching.